G'day guys, Mac with the Outer Circle. Today we want to talk about Warhammer community. The reason I want to talk about this is because this has been bugging me for quite a while. I don't consider it to be a community. I see it as shallow advertising for the company, and this is where I often butt heads with people. Now, the reason that I think it's shallow advertising is a true community is something that is grown and fostered and there is communication within. The communication in Warhammer community is entirely one way, and the information that they are providing is almost of negligible help. Many of the articles revolve around things like rules in order to sell you good rules. They never showcase the bad rules of units, they never showcase units that have good rules. They preview models. Well, a preview of a model isn't doing anything constructive for you. It's neither here nor there in a lot of ways. It's just trying to amp you up for something. There is also this horrible release cycle where they absolutely smash you with adverts constantly for the new game that's coming out. And then as soon as it comes out, it just may as well be erased from existence. And these things have really pissed me off. And I get really shitty with the community because community supports this behaviour. And they're not critical and they don't call it out. They say things like Games Workshop is changed. They listen to us now. No, they don't. Talking at you is not listening to you. They don't take your feedback and your concerns on board and answer the questions you're truly asking as a community. I should know. I've asked them many, many questions and I get zero answers. So, as a little experiment, I went back through, and here's a little spreadsheet I made, and I went back through for just a month. Now, ignore the bottom half of this spreadsheet for now. This will come up later. So, out of all the articles we got, we had 95 articles from the 19th of July through to the 19th of August. Of those, 77 were adverts and 13 were not adverts. The missing gap, the other 5, is 5 that I categorize as really nothingness, which is Rumor Engine. It hasn't told you anything. It's not trying to sell you anything because nothing is being displayed. And it's not providing anything constructive because, again, nothing is being displayed. You don't know if it's 40k, 30k, Horus Heresy, Middle-earth, doesn't matter. So, those 5 kind of don't mean anything. So, out of our 95, 77, and 13, in order to qualify as constructive, I set the bar pretty fucking low. Basically, it just didn't have to be an advert. That was it. If it spoke about painting models or something, then it counted as constructive. If it counted as something like list building, it was constructive. If it counted as showcasing someone's army, it was constructive. But the minute the article skewed more in the direction of, check out this cool model, by the way, here's when it's for sale, that's usually the thing that would tick me off was, alright, this is going to be available from Sunday XX. Okay, this is an ad. So it was 77 of those. So over 3/4 of all these articles are selling you something. They are an advert. You are coming onto this website to watch an ad. That is not a community. They should be paying you for the privilege of coming onto this website. That's silly to me. And again, the constructive does not necessarily mean that it's super constructive either. I even had one that fell into the other category because there was an article on terrain up here from the Mind of Mengel. Turned simple stone scenery into works of art with a step-by-step painting guide. It's like, well, what the hell do I class that as? Terrain? No, I called it other, and it's a painting guide. So I'm calling it a constructive piece. Also included in there, I had, Regimental Standard. That made up a couple articles. That and similar things to it. I also had video games. They actually showcase video games in here. Namely, there was, I believe it was a 40k one. Something to do with Tyranids and Baal. By Slytherin Studios. Here we go, Battle Sector. And yeah, that was just a blatant advertisement when I went into it. And most of this stuff is exactly that. Like Warhammer the Old World, I called that a constructive one because it was talking about I'll go into the article to demonstrate, talking about things like base sizes, the scale, what sort of edition rules there'll be, what factions. So, okay, there's some constructive information in there. So, let's be fair to them. Let's call it constructive. So, I was pretty damn lenient, and yet I still got over 3/4 of these things being an advert. Well, I don't give a crap about adverts. Like, oh, sink your teeth into the war boss. I don't care. Do not care. I do not come on here. Like, I get the same information from going onto Games Workshop's page and clicking pre-orders. It gives me the exact same information that Warhammer Community is giving me right now. So this is not providing me a service. So people, stop calling this shit communication. This is not communication with the player base. This is not the company you're listening to. They don't give a fuck what you have to say. So stop defending it, you simps. On that note, out of our numbers here, I'll bring this up as well as a point. Black Library. Every single Black Library thing is an advert of some kind. Hey, here's the new book that's on sale, buy this book. It's basically what they all boil down to as an article. Fine, it's books. It's hard to do much on them. It'd be great if they included like maybe samples, like a few pages or something, or a chapter as a free sample in PDF format, as something you could download from Warhammer Community. That would be pretty constructive, wouldn't it? Well, they don't do that, unfortunately. A decent sampling of the book in order to hook you. I wouldn't consider it an advert at that point, because actually providing you something, they're giving you as a customer a sense of, hey, will I or won't I like this thing? Armies on Parade counts as constructive. It's telling you to hobby and to build an army and, display that army within your community. I consider that a good thing. Warehouse. Warehouse is closed, warehouse is open. Well, it's not constructive at all. That's just got to do with, please buy our stuff. Okay, don't care. But one thing that stood out to me was, look at the quantities here. Something like the Horus Heresy got a single article and it was an advert in the last month. Titanicus, single article advert last month. It happened like 3-4 days ago. The War Master Iconoclast Titan. Okay, whatever. Some systems don't get supported that much. Blood Bowl, one advert. Underworlds, one and an advert. Great. So the only articles they're showing for these things are adverts. What about strategy articles? What about painting articles for these things? That's the stuff that Warhammer Community should be showcasing, in my opinion. And that's, again, why it annoys me and why it frustrates me when people support this. It's like, you could have something so much better than a glorified advertising service. These articles here, these ones I've called constructive, if that was every article, how much better would things be? How much better? Because isn't that what you want to go on Warhammer Community? If I want to go on to a Games Workshop page to see what's the next model coming out or what's just released, I'll just go on their fucking page. I don't need another page to tell me, go onto this page. No, provide useful information. And I think the reason they're not providing these useful, constructive articles is because it's going to get paywalled behind the old Warhammer Plus here. Which, by the way, we got 2 articles on, both of which were adverts, because they didn't tell, at least me, anything of any constructive use beyond this service exists. Get this service. When it comes out, anyway. But anyway, big things to note. Age of Sigmar, 14. 40k, 18. Kill Team, 20. Wait, Kill Team, 20 articles. How come Kill Team got so many articles? Well, guys, the hype train. The fucking hype train that's off the rails. So this is proof right here of the cycle. We got 20 articles in a month on Kill Team. And I went back and I looked for when the next big month for Kill Team was. It was Pariah Nexus, which had a hype cycle that ran all through February. As you can see, these dates here, 8th, 18th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, 24th, 26th, 27th February, all articles on Kill Team for Pariah Nexus trying to sell you the box. As soon as it came out, that's it. End of it. Nothing more heard from Kill Team until the 1st of July 2021. 5 months. 5 months later, until we got an article. Not a painting article, not an army showcase or warband showcase, not a fucking strategy guide, not a fucking thing for 5 months. And then we get one article. It was on a guy's miniatures that he painted for one of his kill teams. And then the very next article was on the 9th of July, so 8 days after that. And that was the first article in the Octarius kill team hype cycle, which is the very same hype cycle that's going on now, which is up to 20 articles in the last month. So there's more articles in that 10 days between that 9th of July and the 19th of August when I started, the 19th of July through 9th of August, which is where this list is taken from. So that is how extensive the hype train is, and that is how quickly it vanishes into the fucking ether. As soon as the release comes out, they don't give a crap anymore. Item is sold, item doesn't need to be supported, player go fuck themselves, enjoy. I disagree with this approach incredibly strongly. I can't be more vocal. I'm using swearing for emphasis, by the way, not because of rage. I think people misconstrue how Australians talk. Swearing is for emphasis. So it's to say that, hey, I mean what I'm saying, as opposed to I'm angry. So, this is a shit show. This is not a community. So stop calling it that and stop pretending that Games Workshop talks to you. Posting onto Games Workshop's YouTube or Facebook page, here is my completed model, and them giving it a like is not communication. The ability for you to go onto their page and say, hey, I have a question about a rule here, XYZ, and them going, hey, we don't have an answer for you right now, we'll get back to you, and then actually getting back to you, that is communication. What you have right now is a glorified, basically White Dwarf, or a commercial. You are going onto this page to get information about the hobby, what is happening in it, what's going to happen with your favorite game systems. You want articles, you want painting guides, things like that. It is offering you very, very little of that content. As I said, in the most generous of circumstances, I can give them 13 out of 95. The whole rest of those articles, except for the 5 nothings that I mentioned, 77 articles are just telling you about a release. Buy this. Here's this model. Buy this. Here's this model. Buy this. And it gets really egregious because you go in there and they say things like, here is this model. Here's the date it's coming out. Buy this. And made even worse when you get the articles which are, here's the rules for this model. Look how good they are. Buy this. You never get the article which says, hey, here's a model that looks ugly. It's got shit rules. Buy this. No, you don't get those because they know they can't sell that to you. And people are going to look at that article and say, what a load of crap. I mean, even today, I get articles which make no sense to me. So, return to Warhammer World, grab your calendar, and you go down, it's like, oh yeah, cool, they're going to run events at Warhammer World again. I guess that's something. If you're that way inclined, you want to go play in their sandbox, go for it. I get down to this, it's like, Horus Heresy matched play event. The fuck is match play? Doesn't exist in Horus Heresy. Match play was a term coined in 8th edition for 40k. Has nothing to do with Horus Heresy, and it's not some reading into a new edition, it's going to be a match play 9th edition rule set. No, none of that. It's just the people who wrote this didn't understand that the game system doesn't have match. They just thought, oh, all the systems have match play, right? Probably. Let's just write that in the commercial. I mean, if you don't believe that's what happened, think of it this way. When they released 8th edition 40k and they released the Death Guard range, they did a big video on it. I've put it up on the channel because I screen capped the video because I knew they would delete the video, because the video showcased the Death Guard, calling them the 7th Legion. They're not the 7th Legion, they're the 14th Legion. The 7th Legion is the Imperial Fists. These people who are involved in advertising, communicating with you, are not the people developing the system. These people are just trying to go, look, shiny stuff, buy now. They're cashing in on things like FOMO and basic human psychology. And at the end of the day, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and yet these are the people who are writing on the community page. That does not help me in the community. What I want to see, what I think is truly beneficial, is articles on things like painting and showing armies on parade, showing people's warbands. Highlight that stuff. Tell people how to get more out of their hobby, actually foster the community, showcase more community miniatures, right? Showcase the armies of the people that are playing your games. That is community engagement. Showcase people who are taking less popular armies and making them and putting them on the board, and maybe even talk to them. Get them to talk and say, you know, hey, I'm collecting this. Why did you collect this army? Oh, I collect this army because I really like it. You know, maybe I don't find them most effective on the tabletop, or maybe they're not perceived as the most effective on the tabletop, but I get a personal, huge amount of satisfaction from playing this force. I think it's a great little army to get out there. It's been brilliant to paint. You know, those are the kind of articles that I might find interesting. But an article like this, get your teeth into the orc war boss who finally caught the great white squig. Look, he is tough. Look at his rules. They are good. Here is pictures of model. You buy now. That's it. That's all this article is telling you. There's nothing in here about how do you paint this model? What kind of army can you build around this model? You know, those are community questions that need answering. That's building the fucking community. If you just want to show me a model and say, this is for sale, guess what? There's a whole page for that. You know what that page is? It's Games Workshop's page. Just go on their fucking Games Workshop page and you'll find it. This doesn't tell me shit. It tells me he has rules. I knew he had rules already. Like, it's not a community. It's an advert. So stop calling it a community and stop saying they listen to us. They don't listen to us. They don't give a shit. Their whole system is like a video game. It's corporatized. Corporatized as hell. It's not like the other miniature tabletop games. The other companies are trying to communicate and engage with the community, and they have to. They have to because they're not the giant that Games Workshop is. They have to be nice to us. They have to communicate with us. They have to talk with us in order for us to be happy with them and go and buy their product. Games Workshop are the opposite. They don't feel they have to talk with us. They talk at us. They say, here is this. You buy it now. Here is this. Consume product. That is their mentality. And I despise that mentality. Because it is not needed to sell the game. People will say things like, oh, but they have shareholders and they have to make money. Yes, they do. But it's not about trying to just sell the shareholders. You're not going to sell more models simply for the fact you're showcasing them on Warhammer Community with articles saying, buy this model. If you showcase the model and show the great ways that people can paint it and how easily it can be done and things like that, and show the passion that people have for these armies, that will sell models. Because there is nothing more that can get you hyped for a project than someone turning around and saying how much fun they had crafting that project. You go, you know, I've always wanted to have a Raven Guard army too or something. And then all of a sudden an article pops up on a guy who's built this beautiful Raven Guard army. He talks about his techniques and his background. And all of a sudden you find yourself going, wow, man, that is so cool. I'm sold. I'm going out. I'm getting a Raven Guard army today. You don't need to have Warhammer Community be a fucking advert. It does not support the community for it to do so. What you need Warhammer Community to be is an actual help, an actual aid to the community. Something that fosters the hobby, grows the hobby. Because right now, at some point, people are going to wise up and just stop following this. And then you've wasted a potentially great outlet on commercials. But that's my fucking opinion. I don't think it's an opinion. I think it's pretty objective. I mean, look, got the numbers right here. Look how many articles there are. And the thing is, I'm showing you the date range and everything that I've taken these from. You are able to go in and go through all those articles and make your mind up for yourself what ones are adverts and what ones are constructive. And you might come to a completely different ratio than I did. And you know what? Great. All the power to you. But at the end of the day, I think it's safe to say they are not a community, they don't communicate with us, and they misuse what could be a fantastic resource. Make with the outer circle. Hope you enjoyed this classic dose of salt. Remember, if you take a lot of salt in the day, you need a lot of water in order to balance out the salt, otherwise you'll dehydrate. See you all next time.